And this is the first WrestleMania after WCW was bought out by Vince. And this is also considered the death of professional wrestling.
He didn't jump. He fell down. Like, you're supposed to jump. Take the wrestling part out of it. If you're about to get hit by a car, you jump. You don't fall down. Worst thing that can happen is you to be on the ground.
Yeah, this match was fucking awesome. I appreciated that nobody interfered. I appreciated that Benoit and Angle were serious. There's no laughing. It's great. Just that first segment alone, I'd have to say, probably my favorite WrestleMania match to date.
The match started out with wrestling. No, like Olympic style wrestling.
It was
like
great.
I was watching Team USA versus Team Canada going for the gold medal. And then it finally turned into a real wrestling match.
Wrestling Rewind.
The review of Retro.
And this is the first WrestleMania after WCW was bought out by Vince. And this is also considered the death of professional wrestling.
I could see that.
A weird-ass video package started off. It showed various people around the world watching their race and nationality succeed in some form or fashion at WrestleMania. What stood out to me was this white couple in a car that was so high on crack, meth, or whatever that they thought a TV grew in the passenger side seat. They were happy about it. There's also a clown on a porch and some lady watching TV at a funeral. I'd have to go back and look, but this might be the first time someone else's music kicked the show off, and it's Limp Bizkit.
And it was My Way specifically. This is not a bad song. It's actually a good song.
No.
You know, just on a side note, I have an eBay store and I sell things on eBay. And this week I found 2 Limp Bizkit CDs. I found the $3 bill and I found the Significant Other.
There you
And being the consummate professional that I am, I tested them, aka listened to the whole CDs all the way through. And it is very surprising to me that the same artist did both albums. Because the $3 bill is trash.
go.
There's
Faith
like
is
one
the
song.
only one. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think he also put that on the Hot Dog Flavored Water album too.
Faith?
Maybe I'm wrong on that. Am I?
Yeah. There was the Mission Impossible song, but yeah, I don't think they had Faith. All right, Houston, Texas. Jim Ross and Paulie Dangerously are on commentary. And Lawler isn't on commentary because he's mad at the WWF because they fired his wife, the Cat. And you can't blame him after watching her Matt Classic with Marlena last WrestleMania. And Heyman was not working for ECW at this time. And Chris Jericho and William Regal for the Intercontinental Championship opened up the evening. And there was a video package that played before the match. Regal wanted to have a good time in the ring as the new commissioner of, I don't know if it was WWF or Raw or whatever. Jericho came out, made fun of Regal. Regal put Jericho in a bunch of handicap matches. Jericho pisses in Regal's tea. He drank it. Jericho says his favorite letter is P later. And Jericho attacks Regal, dressed as Doink the Clown for some reason. And Jericho broke a picture of Regal over someone's head. I think it was Al Snow. And then Regal clobbers Jericho with a fire extinguisher and tortures him with the Regal stretch. So the match starts. Fairly hard-hitting. Ultimately, nothing really special about it, to be honest. Just a good match. And Regal's super underhook suplex was a nice highlight. He also worked on Jericho's shoulder because he fucked it up, I'm assuming, the Raw prior. So it was nice that they carried over that story. But Jericho ended up retaining with a lion salt. And I thought it was pretty underwhelming. I had high hopes for this match.
Yeah, nothing really special happened, but it was a good match.
Well, Limo pulls up with the license plate reading WCW 1. And it's Shane. He purchased WCW, apparently. And we decided to advertise that via Limo vanity plate. The APA are backstage with Jacqueline. They're playing poker, smoking cigars, and drinking beer. This is prior to their wrestling bout. Bradshaw wants to know where Taz is. Farouk says Taz doing his thug thing. They got this. Bradshaw says, this is WrestleMania. Farouk tells Bradshaw to calm down and drink a beer. Jacqueline says, relax, baby, in her finest Sweet Sapphire impression. And then Bradshaw says, relax my ass. We're in the same place my daddy took me to watch a whole bunch of people play Texas sports. And he brought up Ken Stabler's one good season in Houston and Nolan Ryan. He brought up Bull Rider and a Bull. And then he reiterates that it's WrestleMania. Hearts are going to be broke, legends are going to be made, egos will be shattered, and asses are going to be kicked. We got a match. Bradshaw slaps the beer all over the place. Then Jacqueline and Farouk, who were just 3 seconds ago trying to calm Bradshaw down, they're all hyped as fuck now. So we get right to censor, which is the Good Father, Val Venus, and Bull Buchanan with Steven Richards versus Taz and APA with Jacqueline. So after Right to Censor gets in the ring, Stevie is about to say something, but gets cut off by Taz's music. And Taz no longer has the towel and just looks like a disgruntled janitor. In fairness, Right to Censor looks like a disgruntled Mormon group, so kind of balances out.
I don't know. I got like a Harley mechanic because he's wearing like a
The jumpsuit.
biker mechanic. It looked like a mechanic
Okay. Yeah, I can see
employee
that.
shirt that was cut off. The sleeves were cut off.
Janitor,
like-
mechanic, they all wear jumpsuits.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
So Jacqueline comes out bouncing with APA, and all hell breaks loose. And
She
Jacqueline,
was, but we still know that it was not her that Vince McMahon did stuff with, allegedly. Even though she was looking impressive there. We know Vince McMahon did not pick her.
well, Jacqueline DDT'd Stevie, and Seeds of Dissension were planted early when Taz tags himself in. How the fuck was Farouk down to champion? Like, that motherfucker was just awesome.
He was in WCW, but yeah.
Yeah. Goodfather tried to do a Vader bomb. Don't remember that being part of his arsenal. And Bradshaw gets tagged in, kicks everyone's ass. Then he does a back body drop to Goodfather that looked 100% legit. And Bradshaw hit Venus with a fall-away slam. Venus kept pounding on Bradshaw's back, trying to get out of the fall-away slam. It's brilliant. And poor Venus got hit with a double choke slam and a belly-to-back superplex. Bradshaw got powerbombed by Buchanan. Goodfather tried to do his holy train to Bradshaw, but misses, and he eats a clothesline from hell, 1, 2, 3. I wrote chaotic as fuck. Taz got lost.
I don't know. I didn't really have too much about this match. The clothesline from hell is always impressive. Do like that move? One of my favorite finishers. Gotta love a good clothesline. But yeah, that was pretty much all I really had for this.
Yeah. Well, Trish Stratus is transporting Linda McMahon in a wheelchair, and Stephanie slides in, yells at Trish for being late, tells Linda that at least one of her kids turned out okay. Then she shows Trish her jumpsuit that says Daddy's Girl in rhinestones or sequins or whatever the fuck they were.
Mm-hmm.
And then Stephanie says after Vince kicks Shane's butt, they need a whole mess of champagne and strawberries to celebrate. So Daddy's Girl needs to celebrate with alcohol. Stephanie stresses the importance of crushed ice to Trish and how it must be cracked by hand because it's better that way. Then Trish leaves with Linda. I did a little digging on Linda McMahon, the vegetable. Want me to go over that?
Let me see if I remember. So she got upset. Vince McMahon was doing all the cheating thing with Trish Stratus. And then they committed her to like a psych ward or something like that. And they pilled her up. So that's how she became a vegetable.
Yep, pretty much.
That's all from memory.
Yeah, since they did the Four Corners thing, they've been feuding since. A divorce was asked for. Then Linda started losing her shit. Stephanie tried to save the marriage, but Vince said he wanted a new, voluptuous Mrs. McMahon. One that's as young as Stephanie.
Oh, God.
Yeah. He wants
Oh, my God.
he wants a voluptuous woman as young as Daddy's Girl.
Oh, my God.
And yeah, Linda had a nervous breakdown. Apparently, he was told that she was given double sedatives to keep her in a comatose state. And then he started having an affair with Trish. One segment, he made out with Trish in front of Linda while she was in the wheelchair, just staring blankly.
Yep, made her watch. Oh, that Mr. McMahon. And then as you watch this and you know what would become later on in life, it's like this motherfucker was just acting out.
Plain sight.
Yeah.
Raven versus Kane versus the Giant for the Hardcore Championship. And Raven comes out with a shopping cart containing a potted plant, one of those goofy kid signs that parents put out in the yard to get people to slow down for the retarded kids. A kitchen sink, and a diving flipper.
There was also a Frankenstein on that shopping cart.
Kane's mask was awesome. And Kane and Raven, they start fighting before Giant comes out, and he has short hair. And I wrote, wow, because it's very different.
Yeah.
Giant gets to the ring, and then Kane throws Raven on top of him. Giant makes like he's going to do a showstopper to Raven for a really long time, so Kane can dive on Giant with a clothesline from the top rope. Then they fight through the crowd. For some reason, they cut to a camera that couldn't be further away from the action. It was weird. Then they fight their way to the back. Kane throws Raven into a wall so hard that he dents the drywall, or whatever it was. Giant scoop slams Kane onto a pile of pallets. Raven hightails it, but Giant is in pursuit. He catches up to Raven, snatches him and a referee, throws them into a conveniently placed cage area. Giant locks Kane out of the cage while Raven tries to escape by climbing on top of the shelves. While Giant snatches Raven on the shelves, Kane rips the padlock and busts open the conveniently placed cage area. Kane breaks something over Giant's back. Raven is behind Kane, trying to choke him out with a hose. Kane smashes Raven through the cage and starts choking Raven with the hose. Kane throws Raven through a glass window, and you can hear Raven scream a second later.
It was like they were shocked that it happened.
Right.
Like Kane was just looking like, uh-oh.
Giant gets a hold of Kane, throws him through a door, sort of. And Giant picks up Kane and goes for a choke slam. Right here on the floor! And Kane snatches Giant by the throat. So I don't know where we go from here. The face Giant made was great. They apparently don't know what to do either because they just start throwing each other into the walls by the throat.
It seemed like the wall was supposed to break and it didn't. So then they just like kept going.
Yeah, it seemed like a bunch of things were
break
supposed
this
to.
shit.
Yeah, clearly they had to work around that. They eventually smash through one of the walls. Then Raven comes out of nowhere, smashes a card table over Giant, and starts stomping him. Then Raven, seeing that his feeble strikes are only pissing the Giant off, who's quickly getting back to his feet, attempts to flee on a golf cart. Giant catches up to Raven and wraps his arm around Raven's throat. He's on the back of the golf cart. They speed away and crash into some steel construction shit, and the golf cart's out of commission, like hanging off this ledge thing. Raven spends valuable escape time trying to pull the golf cart back onto the runway thing.
Well, if you get the golf cart, that's going to help you get away better,
I guess. Meanwhile, Kane gets a golf cart of his own and races to wherever Raven's getting mauled at by the Giant. And Raven gets hit very legitimately with the golf cart and proceeds to squirm and wail in pain.
Did you see how close he was to getting ran out? He didn't jump. He fell down. Like, you're supposed to jump. Take the wrestling part out of it. If you're about to get hit by a car, you jump. You don't fall down.
Well,
The worst thing that can happen is you to be on the ground.
Well, if I remember correctly, he wasn't looking. The golf cart hit him from behind.
He like slipped right before the cart hit him. So like, he almost got turned into a speed bump.
I just know it hit him very, very real.
I was like, that almost killed him. Like, legit almost killed him.
A Raven cracks Giant in the head with a box of packing peanuts, then proceeds to be slid across two tables like something you'd see in Popeye. And Kane throws an empty trash can at Giant. They somehow fight their way to the entrance ramp. Kane annihilates Giant with a barrage of soup bones, showing that he is unquestionably the best pure striker in all of WWE. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Giant takes out Kane with a clothesline, then goes back after poor Raven, who, aside from the box of packing peanuts, has been allowed to perform no offense. And he's the champion.
What was he going to do?
Nothing, apparently.
He's scared with two giants, literally.
Well, Giant makes to toss Raven off the stage. Kane kicks Giant so he falls off the stage with Raven. Then Kane dives off on the Giant and hits him with a leg drop. Ref makes the count on the aquarium thing that they're all in. And then Kane's our new hardcore champion. And he celebrates with the belt. And then Giant and Raven writhe in pain.
I thought this was pretty dang entertaining.
I thought a lot happened.
I don't know. So it wasn't as like, I don't know how to say it. It wasn't as rehearsed as like a match. It's like they were ad-libbing, just like walking down the hallway. Oh yeah, this might work. Like the spots where they didn't go through the walls, Giant trying to lock him and Raven behind that cage door, and Kane just ripping the door off like a second later with no resistance.
Well, Kane's the big red monster. Of course he would
I know
rip.
it's a callback to his debut, but
Yeah.
the lock wasn't even on. Like when he ripped the door, the lock fell off.
Well, that's Giant's fault. He doesn't know how to fucking wrap some chains around some shit.
I don't think he had time to lock it. Kane got there so fast. But yeah, that's part of why it was so entertaining. I don't
I
know. It
don't know
just
what
wasn't
to make
very
of this
polished.
match. It was just kind of there for me. I did feel bad for Raven because all he did was get his ass kicked.
Yeah, he's definitely the crash test dummy of this match.
Well, Kurt Angle's backstage, and he's watching a video of Benoit giving him a crossface for some reason. And Edge and Christian come in, and they want to hang out with Angle after they win their matches tonight. And Angle says, if you make someone tap their hand to the mat, and it's not an official match, then you can't say you made them tap. Edge and Christian are properly alienated, and they go do Edge and Christian things while Kurt goes back to watching himself being tortured.
This was early Kurt Angle too.
Yes.
Like very intensity focused, I guess.
Jimmy Snuka is shown at WrestleMania New York. Cool. Then they show Jonathan Coachman, and he's interviewing Piper Niven's mom. And I don't know if it's his Mania debut, but I think it is. Jonathan Coachman, that is.
Mm-hmm. Now you wrote Piper Niven's mom, and I wrote some Aussie chick with some heavies. Because, she probably had triple D's, going back to my thirsty ass.
At least you admit it.
Yeah. Oh, look at those heavies. Get a good motorboat.
And The Rock is shown arriving in a locker room, and he just puts his shit up and walks away. Eddie Guerrero versus Test for the European Championship. Eddie Guerrero is accompanied by Perry Saturn, and I have no idea what the fuck Saturn is wearing or why anyone would let him wear it. We get a video clip on the Raw before. Eddie helped Master X-Pac beat Test after Albert hit Test with his finish. Eddie beats up Test and spits on him, and then says he'll see him at WrestleMania. And it took a while for this match to get going. Thank God Saturn took that stupid hat off he was wearing when he interfered. And Test got caught up in the ropes. Eddie and the ref actually had to help him get out. Eddie worked Test's leg. It's pretty amazing how in WCW, Eddie looked like a child. He kind of looked like he just graduated high school. He's a grown-ass man, but he just looked very young compared to grizzled veterans. But in WWF, he looks like he belongs, like right away. So it's pretty interesting. I think the spitting sit-down powerbomb that Test did, I think that needs to make a comeback. If I was a wrestler, I think that would be my finish. And Test got Eddie in a full Nelson, but Eddie kicks Test in the dick and distracts the refs so Saturn can hit Test with a modified fisherman suplex. Surprisingly, that's only a 2 count. And Test hits Eddie with a pump handle slam. Saturn gets on the apron, and he gets clocked by Test. That gives Eddie enough time to recover and kick out. Test signals for something in the corner. Test kicks the shit out of Saturn. Dean Malenko comes out. He's dressed like a dad going out on a date with his wife of 20 years and pulls the ref aside. Test clocks Dean. Eddie nails Test with the European title. 1, 2, 3. Then Eddie leaves with Saturn and Malenko wearing Saturn's god-awful hat. And Saturn and Malenko are like on completely opposite ends of the fashion spectrum here.
My only takeaway is it's sad that both of these guys are no longer with us.
That is sad.
I don't know. I was like, oh, Eddie's no longer with us. And then I was like, oh, wait, Test isn't either. But I did like the Latino Heat music. Although I don't like the something, something, something. Oh, it's so sweet. I don't like that part of it. But I did like the Latino Heat. So I don't know what I'm saying there. I'm breaking down the music. Did I really have much to say about this?
Not really.
But it's always good to see Eddie.
Michael Cole interviews Foley. And remember when Foley was Mankind and he looked like a monster?
Yep, no longer.
Cole wants to know if Foley will be impartial, officiating the match between Vince and Shane, since Foley and Vince have history. Foley's offended. Just because he embarrassed me, bludgeoned me, and ended my commissionership with the words, "You're fired." Foley vows to call it right down the middle and not let his bias interfere with his duties. Foley then says Houston, Texas for a cheap pot because that's what WWF WWE does to their awesome characters, turn them into jesters.
Yep. They got to get Vince McMahon.
Austin's shown walking into a room and sitting down, and that may have gotten the loudest pop of the night so far. Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit. Angle comes out, says he has something to say, says he's an Olympian, and represents all 50 states. Texas isn't one of his favorites, and its flag is missing a star. Angle is glad that he's having this match in Houston tonight because even these bull riding, beer drinking Texas yeehaws will see that I will never tap out Benoit. And he said, by the way, lose the cowboy hats. You're not 7 years old anymore. Please. Benoit comes out. He says, just kidding. He didn't say anything.
Benoit say stuff. Not yet.
Heyman mentioned that both tapped to each other's submission hold. So that kind of built the story that they want to make the other one tap, at least on paper. And then the match starts off as a modern catch-as-catch-can wrestling match. Like you could have plopped the exchange they had in that first segment in any loose Thez card, and I think it would have fit. They established that they were both equally matched and no idea about Benoit's wrestling background, but he didn't look like he needed to be thrown out of the ring and told never to come back.
I wrote, the match started out with wrestling, and then I said, no, like Olympic style wrestling.
It was
like
great.
I was watching Team USA versus Team Canada going for the gold medal.
What was so great about it is they locked up and they did the first sequence, and then they showed that, okay, they're equally matched. Then they did it again, and then the crowd starts cheering, and then Kurt Angle just looks at him and says, shut up. He's not interested in having a good wrestling match. He wants to kick this guy's ass. However, this guy whose ass he wants to kick is just as good as he is. He has to be 100% focused and on his best game ever. And it's so fucking good.
Yeah. And then it finally turns into a real wrestling match because Kurt Angle got upset.
He lost his temper and he clubbed Benoit.
Yeah. Then it goes to a real wrestling match.
And then they fight to the floor. And
we go from a Olympic wrestling match to a real wrestling match.
Yeah, they fight to the floor. Benoit gets thrown into the steel steps. Angle gets Benoit into the ring and starts kicking his ass. Benoit tries to fire back with chops, but Angle cuts him off with a belly-to-belly suplex. I think he did a couple of them. And they chop the shit out of each other in the corner. Benoit hits Angle with a superplex. And at this point, he's not solely trying to win via submission. I'm not sure if Angle tried anything other than assaulting Benoit at this point.
Yeah, at this point, it was just like a brawl.
Angle counters a German suplex with an ankle lock attempt after some back and forth. And then Benoit ultimately rolls through it and gets an Angle in an ankle lock and looked terrible. And Benoit goes for a crossface, but Angle countered it into a pin and gets Benoit into the crossface. And then Benoit gets the ropes. Angle gets shoved into the ref so he can tap while the referee is recovering. And then Ross claims the referee was poked in the eye. Oh, he's poked in the eye. Can't see anything. Benoit goes to the ref and says, what the hell is the matter with you? And then Angle hits Benoit with an Angle slam while his back was turned. But that only gets a 2 count. Angle goes for a moonsault. Benoit gets his shins up. Benoit hits Angle with a diving headbutt, using his own head as a weapon for 2. Then Benoit goes for another German suplex and he gets kicked in the dick. Benoit then tries to counter with another crossface, but Angle rolls through it, rolls Benoit up, gets 1, 2, 3, and also had a handful of tights.
Yep.
And I thought, this match was fucking awesome. I appreciated that nobody interfered. I appreciated that Benoit and Angle were serious. There's no laughing. It's great. Just that first segment alone.
Yeah, I like the story that they were telling. Kurt Angle, he's like, I'm an Olympic level wrestler. No one can wrestle me. I'm the best in the world. And then, yeah, Benoit holds his own. So Angle gets upset and just turns it into a brawl. And then he still bested him.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, great story. Obviously, the feud would continue, as they said. I was excited for this match coming in, and it lived up to the hype for me.
Yeah, I'd have to say probably my favorite WrestleMania match to date.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I'm looking forward to Brock and Angle. I think they at least have one WrestleMania match.
Coming up soon. It was weird though that the crowd wasn't chanting "You suck" at Angle's song. They haven't started that yet,
No, they haven't.
so that was a little weird to not hear.
Regal comes out of a room. Michael Cole stops him, asks how he's feeling after getting his ass kicked by Jericho. Regal insults Cole. And then arose such a clatter, Kamala is standing on Regal's desk holding a picture of the Queen and then making moan noises. Not like in a sexual way, but in a I'm communicating with you way.
I didn't really understand what was going on there. I'll be honest with you. He was rubbing the picture on his stomach, and I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah. Well, he wanted Regal to rub the moons on his belly
Oh,
to get off the desk.
okay.
And Regal said, under no circumstances will he rub the moons on Kamala's belly. So then Kamala's Tard Wrangler manages to get him off, and then they flee with the picture of the Queen.
Okay.
Yeah. They show footage of wrestlers hanging out with troops in Fort Hood, Texas. Lita mentioned how she's never been in a Hummer before, and I wondered if she was giving Hardy and Edge Hummers at this point or not. Then Undertaker
Nope, it was just Hardy. They said it.
Well, they wouldn't have known.
She wasn't forefront with that information yet.
Right.
Well, I mean, they're in this TLC match, so I guess timing wise, they're working together on screen, so I guess it could happen at this point. Was it going on for years, or did Matt know he was getting cucked right away?
He left a message or something, he being Edge, that Matt happened to come across as well.
He left a message?
Yeah.
What kind of idiot. You wanted to get caught. Well, I mean, it was back in the day, though, so you had to leave messages, but you're leaving a paper trail. You're just asking to get caught.
Well, some fat fuck interviews Angle. Fatty says Angle and Benoit went to war, and after that you might not like him, but you have to respect Benoit. And Angle says, the hell I do. There were two men out there, and you're talking to the better one. I don't have to respect anyone. I beat Benoit 1, 2, 3 in the ring. There's no doubt I'm the best in the WWF. And then Benoit attacks Angle from behind, gets him to tap out again in the crossface before officials break it up.
Angle's the greatest.
He's pretty good, yeah. Ivory versus China for the Piss Break Championship. We get a little video package, and Ivory broke China's neck with a pile driver. Ivory cuts a promo and beats up a cardboard cutout of China. And then China appears and DDTs Ivory. It looked like she was holding a contract. And China made Ivory lose a bra and panties match to Trish Stratus. I guess that was a bridge too far for Ivory because now they're facing each other. Okay, so Ivory comes out and Heyman explains that China was actually holding a letter of indemnification, meaning that she takes sole responsibility for what happens tonight and has no legal recourse should her neck be broken again. And Right to Censor is banned from ringside because China outsmarted her. Ivory looks like she has to take a shit. China comes out with her cannon. Looks like she learned from her wardrobe choice last year. And although I'm afraid her thumb might drop out at any point. And China trots halfway to the ring, then starts walking the rest of the way. Heyman says China's out for revenge. Ivory hugs her title. Ref gets in between them. China gets the ref out of the way. Ivory nails China with the belt and starts putting the boots to her neck. Then Ivory pummels China while she lays motionless. China ends up getting to her feet, catches a kick from Ivory, then tosses her by the throat. China starts beating the shit out of Ivory in the corner, then hits Ivory with a powerbomb, pulls her up at 2. JR was intrigued, like, oh, there's a story there. China hits Ivory with a gorilla press slam, then reclines on Ivory slowly. 1, 2, 3.
Yes, that's what happened. Now, remember, China regularly beats up the dudes. As a matter of fact, last pay-per-view, she beat up Eddie Guerrero and Malenko at the same time. Yeah, and Saturn. All three of those guys
She basically had a handicap match with Too Cool standing at ringside.
Yes. and she beat the Radicals, two of which, well, Eddie would go on to be a champion at some point in WWE. Saturn holds not a major title, but he holds a mid card title. Dean Malenko, I don't remember if he holds a title or not.
He had the
Anyway,
lightweight championship.
did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember his WWE stint, oddly. It was short. But yeah, anyway. So remember, China is like beating up guys. So then when you go to this match, it's like, okay, what are we going to do here? Because she's tossing around guys. This little Ivory better not be doing anything. And that's what happened. She didn't do anything. She hit her from behind with the title,
Uh-huh.
and then she got those shots in. But after that, it was it was
Yeah,
all China.
after China got offense and got control. So it made sense. I didn't have any problem with it.
The only other thing I could say about this match, it's like a Vince McMahon thing that he wants his baby faces to smile. China was smiling at everything.
Yeah.
She was smiling coming out. She was doing the gorilla press slam, smiling, and she was like overly smiling. It was a little too much, and her hair was. Now I'm really going in. I don't know what was going on with her hair. It was like bushy. I don't know if that was like all her real hair or if she had extensions or something, but hair was very puffy and it like made her face look really small. But yeah, aside from all that, it went how you would have thought it would go. One-sided China.
Well, Vince is backstage, and he's in a room with Linda, Stephanie, and Trish. And Vince wants to make sure that Linda's dosage is doubled, and that she'll only be brought out to ringside when Shane is completely immobile. Vince goes to leave with Stephanie, but in comes Michael Cole. Cole wants to know Vince's thoughts on the shocking news of Shane buying WCW, and then Vince guarantees to show Cole something really shocking before kicking his blonde-tipped ass aside.
Well, there was something shocking, all right, but it wasn't from what Vince McMahon thought.
Well, Shane McMahon versus Mr. McMahon, and it's a street fight, and the special guest referee is Mick Foley. And we get a video package, basically establish that Vince is a piece of shit. He demands a divorce from Linda, makes Trish strip and do anything, no matter how much she sobs.
Remember this now.
He makes out with Trish in front of Linda on the entrance ramp.
Makes her bark like a dog on all fours.
Shane comes in and he beats Vince's ass. And then he challenges Vince to a match at WrestleMania, which Vince accepts after assaulting Shane and tells Shane, "I will never forgive your mother for giving birth to you." Vince buys WCW with the intent of signing the contract at WrestleMania. Then Shane buys WCW from under Vince. And just like WCW kicked Vince's ass in the past, that's what's going to happen at WrestleMania, according to Shane. So Shane gets to the ring, shouts out WCW wrestlers who may or may not be in attendance. Camera does cut to them, and they're sitting in the cheapest seats possible. I
They were in the skybox.
I recognized Hugh Morris, Lance Storm, and Chavo Guerrero. I think Stacy Keibler may have been there.
Yeah, that was my shocker. Stacy Keibler was in that WCW section. There was also Stacy Kubiak? One of those.
Sean Stasiak.
Sean Stasiak, there we go. And yeah, Chavo Guerrero, Hugh Morris. But yeah, the standout for me was Stacy Keibler was in that section. There was no Booker T either.
There was not.
No DDP, no Sting, no Goldberg.
Well, Shane also brings out Foley, who looks like a failed IT guy versus the demented guy who lived in the boiler room. Vince comes out with Stephanie. He's not doing the strut. Little Vince McMahon strut. Kind of wish he would have. And Foley tries to be a referee. Shane gets in Vince's face so Vince can slap the taste out of his son's mouth. Then Vince beats the shit out of Shane, starts choking him in the corner. Shane fires back with ugly-ass clothesline, a weak-ass spear, and little girl punches. Stephanie gets in the ring to help Vince, and she gets in Shane's face, slaps him, and then runs away. And then, yeah, Shane's just getting the piss slapped out of him, left and right, this whole match. Shane hits Vince with a baseball slide outside the ring. Then they start fighting out there for a while. Shane hits Vince with a metal keep off sign that they had in the entrance ramp. And Shane starts really wailing on Vince with the sign. He throws Vince into the steel steps, then nails him with a clothesline from the barricade. Shane goes under the ring and he grabs a kendo stick and he twirls it around, making you think that he's a swordsman or supposed to be. And then Shane
He
starts
probably
just,
does fencing. Rich ass kids.
well, then he just starts beating the shit out of Vince with it, which was a sight to see.
Yeah, they do not hold back on each other.
No. And while Shane's wearing out Vince with the kendo stick, Stephanie is pleading with him to stop. Please stop. Shane hits Vince with some more girl punches, and then Heyman's second. He's your father, the owner of the company.
Mm-hmm.
Shane puts Vince on the announce table, clocks him with the monitor, then puts him through it from the top rope, or tries to at least. Because Stephanie comes in, she pulls Vince out of the harm's way, and Shane goes right through the table. And Trish takes this time to come out with Linda, and she goes to console Vince, then she slaps Vince. Stephanie slaps Trish, they brawl. JR said Trish speared Stephanie, which I thought was the most generous call ever. Yeah, so they fight to the ring. Trish gets on top of Stephanie and she's slapping her. Stephanie gets on top of Trish. She starts choking her. Then only at that time does Foley get involved. He pulls Stephanie off. Stephanie slaps Foley. So Foley like chases Stephanie. And then Trish ends up chasing Stephanie too. So they chase her to the entrance ramp. Stephanie falls like an 80s scream queen, but manages to get up and just run away with Trish in pursuit. I don't know what happened to Foley. He just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened to him. And Shane's also just gone too. But
Yeah.
he went through the table.
Well, we cut to Vince and he sees Linda and he calls her a bitch.
His wife.
Yeah.
You fucking bitch.
Then Foley comes out of nowhere. He cuts Vince off and tells her to stay the hell away from Linda. Then Vince clobbers Foley with a chair. He grabs the catatonic Linda, rolls her into the ring. She just flops. The crowd loudly calls Vince an asshole. And Vince sets up a chair in the corner and then roughly sits Linda in it. Vince gets Shane, who for some reason is still lying at the announce table after all this fucking time, just throws him in the ring. And
he
then
was
Vince,
selling the spot. That's why.
Vince beats the shit out of Shane with the trash can for a while. He goes for a finishing blow and he tells Linda to just watch. Vince turns his back and it looks like Shane's done for. Suddenly, Linda stands to her feet, receiving a mighty ovation. And Vince is such a son of a bitch that all they want to do is see Linda give him what he deserves. And she does. After Shane tells Vince to look behind him, Vince turns around, looks like he's seen a ghost, and Linda just knocks him right in the dick.
See, this is so old school. They played that video package where apparently this has for months and months and months.
Right?
We've been waiting for this payoff, and then it finally happened.
So she kicked him in the McMahon family jewels, and then Foley kicks Vince's ass and nails him with running knees. And Shane makes Vince hold a garbage can, does what sounds like his first coast to coast, 1, 2, 3. Then they cut to the WCW guys in the cheap seats looking happy, I guess. And then Linda and Shane hug, and Shane looks like he has the shiner.
Yep. He had gotten it early in his match. But yeah, that was the first coast to coast, but they didn't call it as such.
No.
They just said, he's halfway across the ring. There's no way he can make it. Thank you, RVD, by the way, because that used to be an RVD thing. I don't know about the rest of the match. I don't even know. There was so much happening. Again, though, it was a good payoff because they built to it for months. So that's the one thing.
Yeah, that Linda standing was a neat little moment, especially going in there cold.
Yeah. And I was like, poor her. She's got to do this still gimmick this whole time. But yeah, she did good for what it was worth. I thought Vince McMahon was going to like hit her with a chair or something. It was like, she's not even moving. What are you going to hit her for? But he did it. He just put her in the chair to watch. So I guess she was in such a state where she could hear and see everything. She just couldn't react to it.
I thought he was going to do a concerto.
Yeah, I thought he was messing her up, which was going to be messed up because, yeah, she's catatonic, which would have been uncomfortable in so many
Right.
ways. But yeah, good match for what it was.
Well, the Hardy Boys are interviewed during fan access. They talk about their TLC match later, and I didn't really listen to it.
If I'm being honest, I think I skipped this
Okay.
because I thought it was the same thing as they did this. They did an access, and then they did the troop thing, and I thought it was all the same thing. So I watched the first thing, and then I didn't really pay attention to the other two. It's like, didn't we just do this?
That's fair.
Yeah, goddamn access! Stop showing that shit. I know, I get it. Okay, you want to push that WrestleMania is such a big weekend, but do you have to show the access? It's past at this point. You can't even get to it. What do you need to show it for?
Well, they cut to Triple H, who's over dramatically putting on his knee pads. Then they cut to Undertaker, and he's the American badass at this point, and he's shadowboxing in the dark.
Yep.
Hardy Boys versus Edge and Christian versus the Dudley Boys. TLC match for the Tag Team Championship. And I think the Dudleys may have had the best pyro of all time.
Yeah.
So this starts off as one big brawl. Edge and Christian get Matt Hardy in a tree of woe, then stand on his dick. Then they do a drop toe hold on a Jeff Hardy onto a chair. Matt later climbs a ladder for the belts. Then he's like holding his dick while he's climbing the ladder, which I thought was great. Edge clotheslines Matt off the ladder by springboarding off the chair that Jeff got drop toe held on. Edge climbs the ladder, then Jeff drop kicks him off of it. The Hardys do a splash leg drop combo to Christian from ladders. Dudley's was up Edge's nuts. Then Devon gets the tables. And Bubba Ray powerbombs Jeff Hardy through Edge through a table. And instead of trying to win the match, the Dudleys set up an elaborate stack of tables. Bubba, Matt, Edge set up ladders in the middle of the ring in a span of a few minutes so all three teams can climb the ladder at once, like they did last year. Christian and Matt are the first to fall, followed quickly by Devon and Jeff. Matt, Devon, and Jeff land on the ropes in some painful way, which has to suck. Christian goes all the way to the floor, which has had to suck a whole lot more. And Bubba and Edge take a weak-ass back bump off their ladder. I say weak in comparison to the other four bumps we just saw.
Yeah, they got lucky.
And Christian, miraculously alive, sets up a table around where he fell. And Spike Dudley comes out for no reason. Does an acid drop to Edge and Christian. And poor Christian was sent through the table that he just set up. They said dumbass Spike may have re-injured himself, because apparently Edge and Christian injured him. Then fucking Rhino comes out. He beats up the Dudleys, spears Matt through a table, and Rhino sets up a ladder for Edge and leaves. Then fucking Lita comes out. She stops Edge. And then Rhino grabs Lita, and he's about to gorilla press slam her for like the biggest moment in all of WrestleMania history. Then Spike ruins it, punches Rhino in the dick. Lita does a Frankensteiner to Rhino. Meanwhile, Edge is almost at the belts. Then Spike hits Rhino, who whips around and falls into the ladder. He hit Rhino with a chair. And that sends Edge into the ropes. And the Dudleys do a doomsday device to Rhino, I think. And Lita punches Spike and then takes her shirt off for some reason. Dudley's 3D Lita. Surprisingly, the pop wasn't as strong as Linda's. It was for me, though. Edge and Christian run wild with chairs and set up some ladders. Jeff sets up a big ladder on the floor and puts Rhino and Spike through it, which makes absolutely no sense because they're not in the match. And Rhino's like already taken everybody's finisher. So for Jeff Hardy to waste his time putting them through a table is just stupid. Edge and Christian were left alone. They set up a whole mess of ladders in the ring. I don't know what happened to Edge, but Devon and Christian end up climbing one of the ladders to get to the belts. Christian and Devon get the belts, but Matt moves the ladder, leaving them hanging. Devon and Christian fall to their doom. And Jeff Hardy tries to walk across the ladders and, of course, falls. Jeff quickly recovers, climbs the ladder, gets the belts, and then just starts hanging from the thing. Jeff tries to regain control of the ladder with his feet, but Bubba moves it from him. And just as Bubba moves it out from under him, Edge is climbing a ladder across from him. The ladder is taken out from under Jeff, and he swings in the direction of Edge, and Edge just spears him from where the belts are hanging. And it looks like Edge got DDT'd. It's great. It's a good spot.
Yeah, that was one of the iconic spots.
And Bubba and Matt climb the tall ladder. Rhino pushes both of them outside the ring into the Dudley's elaborate table stack from earlier. And Christian and Devon, they start climbing. Ed grabs a hold of Devon. Rhino lifts Christian on his shoulders. Christian gets the belts, and this one's over.
Oh my. If I'm being honest, this was not as good as their last match.
Not even close.
And it was kind of the theme of this WrestleMania. Like,
all the bullshit.
Yes. There's so much over the top. And I'm a fan of a good overbooking, but this was a little too much. Like, why is Spike Dudley out there? Why is Rhino out there? Why is Lita out there? Like, they don't need to be out there. I don't know. It just added too much to the match. It took away from it, I would say. And the last one wasn't even a TLC. It was just a ladder match, but they used L and C. Oh, I'm sorry. They used T and C. It was just an L, but they used TNC. But this one was a TLC, and it wasn't as good. But it was good though. It was good. There were some high spots. I don't know what Jeff Hardy was thinking when he was going to run across those ladders. That was never going to work.
Right. All the extra players ruined it for me.
Yeah, it did take me out, like trying to keep up with everything.
As soon as I fucking saw Spike, like, Spike.
I know. We need. Where's Mike Awesome when you need him to throw him through a table from the inside the ring to outside the ring? But to Spike Dudley's credit, he was probably one of the best sellers in history. Whenever you wanted someone to look like a beast, like when Brock Lesnar debuts and he's tossing him around like a rag doll. Mike Awesome throwing him from the ring to the outside through a table.
Well, just keep him out of the TLC matches.
Yeah.
Well, they did more fan access shit. And after the TLC match, I just didn't have any fucks left to spare for this.
It took them all.
Yeah. They announced the attendance by Finkel. It was 67,925. And then they did a gimmick battle royal. Mean Gene comes out to do the play-by-play. Then Bobby the Brain Heenan makes his return to the WWF. Then the Bushwhackers come out, followed by Duke the Dumpster Drosy. His theme music was the sound of a truck backing up. The Iron Sheik, his theme music was just awesome. Earthquake, who looks like a small tremor now. The Goon, Doink the Clown, and this is Ray Apollo, not Matt Bourne. Kamala, Repo Man, and he comes out with a rope and some hooks. James E. Cornette, Nikolai Volkov, he looks old as fuck. Michael P.S. Hayes, who's wearing a Confederate robe thing. The One Man Gang, Gobbledygooker, who's played by Eddie Guerrero's brother Hector. Tugboat, who should really be Earthquake. Hillbilly Jim, doesn't look like he's aged a fucking day. Looks like he's younger. Brother Love, he loves us. Sergeant Slaughter, and Slaughter got a video package reminding the fans that he used to wrestle before being a bumbling WWF official. And the Iron Sheik won. And then Slaughter traded slow punches with him after the match and locked him in a Cobra clutch till he passed out. And Slaughter had the audacity to cup his ears like Hogan after that abortion.
The crowd was chanting USA.
Good for them.
So, I want to read my notes for this match. So, yeah, to go back, they announced this gimmick battle royal, and I'm like, oh God. And then they announced the gimmick battle royal is up next. And I said, please, I hope something happens in this match to prevent it. Like, is Kane going to come out and destroy everybody or what? Like, something has to happen. And then they start doing the entrances. I'm like, I can't with this match. Please.
Even for Bobby Heenan and Gene Okerlund, I couldn't do it.
Yes. And everybody that came out, they were old as fuck, out of shape, except for Doink, who clearly, this is what I wrote down, except for Doink, who's clearly not the original Doink because he's young and he's in shape. And then I said, and everybody's getting a freaking entrance. This has been going on for like 10 minutes. And then, yeah, we get to the Battle Royal, and they even mentioned it on commentary. There was no resistance during the Battle Royal. There was no Shawn Michaels spots where someone skims the cat. There was no Stone Cold spot where someone gets eliminated and it jumps back in. There was no resistance. It was just like one person after another was getting eliminated.
Yeah, when I was fast forwarding through it, it was kind of interesting seeing like the ring just slowly empty out.
Really, the entrances were longer than the match.
Yeah.
And I popped because Kim Chi was in the match, which is Kamala's handler, who was actually eliminated by Kamala. So there wasn't even continuity there.
Triple H versus The Undertaker. We get a video package, and Triple H is cutting a promo saying he's beaten all of our heroes. Undertaker comes out and says, "No, you haven't. If you try me, I'll make you famous, though." Triple H attacks Undertaker, tells him that he doesn't want any. Then we see Undertaker waiting for Triple H with a steel pipe, clearly wanting some. Undertaker ends up going to jail or something. Stephanie files a restraining order against Taker. Taker uses Kane to manipulate Triple H via William Regal into a match. And Kane's holding Stephanie over his head, very high up, threatening to toss her off of this very tall structure unless Undertaker gets a one-on-one match with Triple H. And Regal's like, "I can't do that." Undertaker's like, "All right, Kane, send Stephanie down here real quick."
Maybe she can do it.
And finally, William Regal agrees to set up the match. Triple H also destroys Undertaker's motorcycle. And Motorhead plays Triple H's theme live. And Taker hits the ring. They start brawling on the floor. Taker sends Triple H to the Spanish announce table. And he just keeps coming at Triple H no matter how much offense Triple H gets in. Taker actually shouted "old school" when he was about to do it. And thankfully it was cut off by Triple H because that was stupid. Old school! Fuck you, Undertaker. Triple H tried to intimidate Mike Chioda. And then he gets a sledgehammer. Ref takes the sledgehammer. Undertaker slingshots Triple H into the ref. Then he choke slams Triple H, but the ref was able to try to make the count anyway. Taker beats the shit out of the ref after Triple H kicks out. Now it's a street fight, so they can fight on the floor. Then they go out in the crowd. They fight all the way to this scaffolding thing. There's folding chairs. Triple H grabs one. He annihilates Taker with one of them. Like he's hitting his legs and everywhere. And Triple H gets choke slammed off the scaffolding. To hell! And Undertaker does an elbow drop to Triple H from the scaffolding. EMTs come out with a stretcher. That doesn't matter because they fight back through the ring. Taker tries to use the sledgehammer, but Triple H kicks him in the dick. Triple H tries to use the sledgehammer, and he gets kicked in the face. Then they trade punches for a while. Triple H tries to go for a tombstone, but Taker reverses it. Taker hits the tombstone, but the ref's dead. Taker shakes the ref violently, who then starts squirming. Taker goes for a last ride, but Triple H picks up the sledgehammer and then nails Taker in the head with it. Ref comes to, tries to make the count, but Taker kicks out. Undertaker's bleeding all over the place now. Triple H starts wailing on him in the corner, does the 10 punches thing. Then Taker turns that into a last ride, 1, 2, 3. And I'm surprised the ref didn't just give Taker the finger and walk away. And then Taker speeds away on his motorcycle with blood pouring down his face.
And he made you famous. This match was interesting. Interesting match. So
I'm just glad there wasn't interference.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot because I didn't take notes. Sometimes I, watch it through and then go back and note after the match. I was like, the ref has been out so long. I don't even remember what happened to the ref. He was dead, the ref.
Yeah.
So much so. They fought in the crowd. They fought over to that scaffold. Triple H got chokeslammed off the scaffold. EMTs came out. Undertaker did an elbow drop off that same scaffold. And then they go back to the ring. There's a sledgehammer at play. And the ref is out during all this. And it's not until Undertaker taps him. I was like, laying there that long, he must have actually fell asleep or something. Maybe not, but to lay there that long. And then the finish I thought was a little ridiculous. Just a little bit. I'm not going to throw a fit over it, but the fact that Undertaker went for a last try, he gets a clean sledgehammer shot and kicks out of that. But then Triple H doesn't kick out of just the last ride. I thought that was a little ridiculous. Like
Just shows how
that
devastating the
sledgehammer
last
shot.
ride is.
I mean, but he took a straight up sledgehammer shot to the head.
But she
Like
didn't
that
take
should
her
have been
last ride to the head yet.
it. Yeah, I was like, golly, I don't know. I just thought the sledgehammer was like the thing, and you get hit with that straight in the head. I don't think you should be kicking out. But yeah, aside from that, Undertaker is still undefeated.
He sure is. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock for the WWF Championship. And The Rock is heading to the ring. Austin's looking at himself in a mirror. Then he heads to the ring. And we get another video package. Looks like Austin won the Royal Rumble. And then Rock beat Kurt Angle for the World Heavyweight title. And that's really all you need to know. They're going to face each other and they don't like each other. Somehow Deborah, Austin's wife, gets involved. Deborah from WCW. And she's forced to be The Rock's manager.
So I thought she was married to Mongo, like at that point in real life. No, they were just
Uh,
playing married.
I don't know.
Well, I was thinking, was it around the time that Stone Cold saw her run out in the bikini that he decided that that was going to be his next woman?
Probably.
Good pull for him.
So yeah, so she's forced to manage The Rock by Vince, but The Rock says, I'm not going to lift a finger to help her, so she's on her own. Cut to Kurt Angle getting Deborah on the ankle lock. Austin stuns The Rock. Rock stuns Austin. Then they toast really aggressively with beer and fight. Then they just replay rock bottoms and stunners. Rock vows that Austin's getting his best. Austin says he needs to beat The Rock because there's only one champion. Then we learn that after the video package that the match is suddenly a no DQ. And Austin comes out to his disturbed music. Rock comes out to his normal music.
One of Austin's better musics. Some would say that's his best version.
Who's?
Don't live it inside you.
Austin's on The Rock as soon as he gets to the ring. Crowd boos when The Rock gets his first offense. Then they tease doing their finishers before fighting to the outside. Of course, they fight through the crowd too. Austin then just whoops on The Rock. He hits a superplex, exposes the turnbuckle. Then they fight to the floor again. Hebner and The Rock trip over some wire. And Austin clobbers The Rock with the ring bell. Austin throws the timekeeper aside for some reason. And The Rock climbs the normal announce table and it just collapses on him. Rock is bleeding. Then they fight back in the ring. And Austin beats the shit out of The Rock and starts choking him. Austin beats the hell out of The Rock until he bows up to the ref. The Rock regains the advantage. Rock grabs the ring bell and nails Austin with it. Austin's bleeding too now at this point. Austin kicks out of the ring bell strike and The Rock starts beating Austin's ass. They fight to the floor again. And Austin picks Rock up, drops him on the barricade. Then he slingshots The Rock into the ring post. Austin nails Rock right into the damn head with the monitor. And then he throws The Rock into the ring, covers him up for 2. And then both men stand up. Austin gives Rock the finger and goes for the stunner. Rock catches Austin's kick and turns that into a sharpshooter. Austin fights the ropes, but Rock drags him into the middle of the ring. Austin fights the ropes again and eventually grabs him. And Rock goes for a second sharpshooter, but gets raked in the eyes. And then Austin gets Rock into a sharpshooter. I wonder what Brett thought of all of this. Like, kill him, I finished.
The fact that they were replaying his finish.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would figure he would enjoy it.
Well, The Rock fights out of the sharpshooter. Austin goes back to whooping The Rock's ass and gets him in another sharpshooter. And The Rock fights the ropes. Austin gets in the $1 million dream, the sleeper hold. Then they tease The Rock passing out, but Rock is able to get the second wind and turns the sleeper hold into a pin. Rock stuns Austin for 2. And then Vince comes out. And I can't wait for Lita and Spike and Rhino to come out too. And Vince gets a big asshole chant. Rock and Austin go back to kicking each other's ass. They trade spine busters. Rock hits a people's elbow after his spine buster. Rock goes for a pin. Vince pulls Rock off of Austin and out of the ring. Rock goes for McMahon, chases him around and back through the ring. And Austin, Rock bottoms Rock for 2. McMahon's not happy about that. Austin goes for the stunner. Rock pushes Austin into the ref. Austin punches Rock in the dick. And then he tells Vince to come here with a chair. Austin holds Rock up while Vince cracks Rock in the skull with a chair. Vince throws Hebner back in the ring. Rock kicks out at 2. And I wrote Jesus. Austin says he'll take care of it, grabs the chair, gives Rock the finger, and goes for the kill. But the Rock counters with a rock bottom. Vince won't let Hebner make the count. Rock beats Vince's ass. Austin stuns Rock for 2. Kicks out the fucking stunner. Austin cracks Rock in the head with the chair, and that gets a 2 count. Austin has to maul Rock with the chair to eventually win. And Austin and Vince get face to face, and then they shake hands. Austin and Vince drink beer together. JR says, "Why, Steve? Why this way?" Then Vince and Austin drink over the Rock's corpse. JR says, "May as well have just pissed on the Rock." Austin poses with his belt, then hits the Rock with it. And then they drink more beer. And then Austin leaves with Vince. And that was WrestleMania.
And the heel turn. Well, I think this was a double turn. I couldn't tell for sure. But I think this was a double turn. Because I didn't know if The Rock was a face or a heel going into it. Definitely going out of it, he was a baby face.
Right.
Stone Cold was definitely a face coming into it. Leaving, he was a heel. JR sold it perfectly.
Why, Steve? Why?
Yeah. Talking about, I was at this man's hospital bed. This is not the Austin I know. This is when Austin, at some point, he'll team with Triple H and they do the 2-man power trip where they like basically win all the gold.
Yeah, that's what happens. The following Raw, I believe, Rock and Austin have a rematch. Then Triple H gets involved. Then they forge the 2-man power trip. And the Rock's written out so he can do the Scorpion King. And he returns to fight for Team WWF over Team WCW and ECW. They won his first WCW championship by defeating Booker T.
Good for him. So yeah, memory is serving me good here. If I recall correctly, they don't go back to back. So we have The Rock and Austin in 2 WrestleManias. Then the next WrestleMania, this is where we get Icon versus Icon, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yep, Rock
It's either
versus
18
Hogan.
or 19.
Well, because The Rock's going to get his win back from Austin, but they don't go back to back. So I think
No, there's WrestleMania X8. Yeah, you're right. So it's Icon
Yep.
versus Icon.
I believe this is my favorite WrestleMania.
Okay.
So I'm pumped. You guys better get pumped. If you are pumped for WrestleMania 18, let us know in the comments or by hitting the like button.
Let's see. Triple H versus Chris Jericho. Jazz versus Trish Stratus and Lita.
Or you can't win them all.
Rock versus Hogan.
Yay!
Billy and Chuck versus APA versus Dudley Boys versus Hardy Boys. Stone Cold versus Scott Hall. Edge versus Booker T. Taker versus Flair. That might be interesting.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Maven versus Goldust.
Oh my. It didn't have to be like top to bottom good. Getting some Maven matches out here.
Rob Van Dam versus William Regal.
We don't have Angle versus Shawn.
Angle versus Kane.
Then it's 19 Angle versus Shawn. Then it's Icon versus Icon. That's the big thing here.
Next one. But before that, we have WCW.
Yep. Back on the WCW train. We are Spring Stampede, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Spring Stampede. Tagline is, "These men do solemnly swear to kick, fight, punch, stomp, and flatten anybody who gets in their way." And the main event is DDP versus Savage in a no disqualification match, even though it kind of has to be after what Savage did to Kimberly. Then Luger faces the Giant, Booker T, and Stevie Ray. It's a 4 corners match for the number 1 contendership for the title. Benoit Malenko 2, Steven Ringle versus Prince Iakea, and Akira Hokuto versus Medusa.
Well, there you go. Sounds like a good card.
I think so. But that's all I got.
But on that note, if you agree with anything, let us know in the comments. If you disagree with anything, let us know in the comments. On your way out, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Check out all of our other socials and TikToks and all that stuff. And until next time, Top Guys out.